Finding your own unique art style is all the rage in the art community. In fact, I feel like ever since artists like Ross Tran and Sam Does Art have become big on the online art scene, every new artist that's coming along is obsessed with the idea of finding their own unique, one-of-a-kind, never-before-seen art style. And hey, I'm very much part of this. Finding a memorable and consistent art style has been and forever will be one of my biggest art goals of all time. We want our audience to look at a painting and instantly recognize it as ours. And I do feel this non-conformity, this shift from wanting to be like the greats to wanting to stand out from the crowd is a wonderful thing because it really encourages us to dig deep and really pour our heart and soul out into our painting. So in today's video, I want to share with you 5 weird and wonderful tips that will help you find, or at least set you on your way to finding, your own unique art style. I personally don't think that your art style should be an end goal here. I am a huge believer that your art style will evolve if you're doing it right over the years as you evolve as a person. But hey, this is a great starting point. Of course, if you enjoyed this video and learned something today, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment below your biggest goal with finding your art style and come say hello on social media. All of the links are down below. Alrighty, here are 5 weird and wonderful tips on finding your unique art style. Okay, first things first, finding your art style is not an easy thing you can just do overnight. It is hard work. And there are already loads of amazing tips out there on how to find your art style. So I'm not just going to sit here and repeat those because that's boring and also plagiarism, I think. Instead, today we're going to take a look at some very unusual tips. You might think these are preposterous, but these are things that have truly helped me stylize my own work and evolve my artistic voice over the years. Just trust the process. Also, we're getting close to being done with this painting, so yay! My very first tip for finding your art style is to observe yourself as a person. Who are you outside of your art or work or school or whatever else? What aesthetic do you feel drawn to when it comes to clothes, furniture, decor, accessories and such? Can you find recurring color palettes, shapes, even eras of fashion and such in the things that surround you every day? Our art style is a reflection of who we are as individuals, almost like a collection of all the little aspects of life that create a reaction within us. In fact, here's a great trick to really quickly finding things that move you. The next time you have a big emotional response to something, be it a scene, a piece of art, a situation, a movie, a person, be it a happy, sad, angry, delighted, or humorous feeling, try to mentally step outside of yourself for a minute and look around you. What are the things that further heighten your emotions and which ones take you away from them? Looking at things that heighten your emotions, notice colors, shapes, and textures. Notice how these things are arranged. If you can, make a note of these observations. These are the things, when placed in a certain arrangement, in a certain context, that move you into a feeling. These are things you should be painting about. Your art is a reflection of your life's experiences, a collection of all the ways in which you have expressed your innermost truth. So in essence, your art style is like a condensed version of everything about the world around you that has moved you. Observe yourself, take notes, and look for common links across it all, and you'll quickly learn what your art is supposed to focus on. Okay, this one's kind of a little contradictory to what we just spoke about, but bear with me. Now, one popular piece of advice when it comes to finding an art style is to draw a lot. Doodle for pages and pages, and then you'll find your style. This might work for a lot of people, but if you're here, chances are it hasn't worked for you. And that's because your doodles are essentially regurgitations of what you've seen other people draw, or things that you've drawn the same way so many times that you've become set in your ways. Instead, we're going to anti-doodle. In other words, we're going to do some very intentional doodling with some layers of complexity. Take a shot every time I say doodle. What you're gonna do is actually start with a color that you don't usually doodle with. If you usually draw with black or gray, grab a bright red or purple. If you doodle on a white background, give it a random tint. This is the first layer, is to completely switch up your materials. The second layer is the subject. Instead of drawing the same things you enjoy drawing over and over again, you're going to draw things that you never ever draw. So if you're like me and you do a lot of character art, you're going to doodle some trees, animals, machines, and objects. If you do a lot of landscape and prop design, you're going to try some characters. It doesn't matter if it's ugly as hell, you're not trying to practice drawing these things. Instead, what we're then going to do for our third layer of complexity is to go through all the doodles and try to find running themes across them. Do you see common shapes, forms, and textures in several different doodles? What about the composition? Are there specific angles, arrangements, and stories that you see in these doodles? Once you find these common links, write them down somewhere visible. And for the final piece of this doodle puzzle, can you now think of ways to apply these common design aspects to the subjects that you do enjoy painting? If you've taken any art course or tutorial or just been to one art class, you've likely been told that you should first understand realism before you start to stylize your work, at least when it comes to inventing your own style. And this is absolutely true. Understanding realism allows us to learn the rules of what our brains can visually accept as being believable versus just being bad form and composition. However, just like with the doodling, there is a lot to learn about stylization through drawing and painting realism, and again, this involves observing yourself. The number one question to ask when you're painting a realistic anything is, which part of this do I hate the most? Okay, look, I know that sounds so negative, but hear me out. Sometimes it is hard for us to pinpoint what we do enjoy about certain styles, but it is super easy to point out exactly what we hate about them. So if we can find a way to utilize this toxic, pessimistic aspect in order to find our style easily, hey, that is exactly what we're gonna do. And when it comes to finding your style, it can be as simple as simply subtracting all the annoying, boring bits out of realism. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best. Maybe do this along with the doodling from earlier and see if you can replace the parts of realism that you hate with the shapes, forms, and textures that you found across your doodles. Okay, this tip is a little odd, but I highly recommend keeping a dream journal. Here's the thing about dreams. We still have no idea what they actually are or why we have them. However, dreams can often be fraught with meaning, especially when we're trying to process emotions and situations. Most important of all, dreams tend to be extremely visually impactful. They alter your emotions in such a way that you feel very intense feelings about something that isn't even real in the physical world. And isn't that precisely what we want our art to do? I dream journaled consistently a few years ago. I need to get back into it, but let me tell you, it was massively eye-opening. Not just because of how wild and sometimes even psychic my dreams tend to be, but more importantly, looking through the journal actually showed me what my subconscious truly cares about. As I've impressed upon over and over today, your art style should ideally revolve around the things that you find truly interesting and important, and observing your dreams is a super quick and easy way to figure this out. Plus, being able to reread your dreams is going to help strengthen your visual and interpretive memory, or in other words, you're going to be able to hold an image in your mind for much longer. What that means is that when you first come up with an idea, it's going to stay in your brain for long enough that you're able to translate it down onto paper. Try keeping a dream journal, it will change your life, I promise. Okay, so remember when you were little and someone read you stories and you could just close your eyes and see the scenes unfold? Perhaps like me, you grew up reading an insane amount and can still do that. Thing is, most of us have the ability to read something and turn it into a mental image, sometimes to a very vivid extent. And unless you're a writer, you might think this a useless skill, but oh boy, are you wrong. It can actually really help you find your style. Here's how it works. Instead of directly starting with a bunch of sketches and trying to pick one out and figure out the composition that way, try writing your idea down as words first. Make a note of all the compositional elements, the character and what they look like, potential colors and lighting setup. Go into as much detail as you possibly can. Of course, going through this process will give you an insane amount of clarity when it comes to the concept, but more importantly, once you write it down and read it back, your mind will go into storybook mode and start to conjure up a mental image. And then as you explore that image further, you'll start to see little details, little tweaks and improvements. Write those down too and repeat until you find you have a composition that is virtually impossible to improve upon. Then you can go ahead and put it down as a sketch. Do this enough times and you'll see that writing only a few keywords or even just putting words to your idea mentally will start to conjure up these images. I do this with all my important paintings, like this one that you've been watching me paint this whole time. This was my planning page, and then my mind just took over, and next thing you know, we have a painting. She's not quite done yet, but I really do feel like this piece is an important indicator of what my own style is evolving to be. So, who are your style idols and what is your ideal art style? Come let us all know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and learned something today, please remember to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out so much. Come say hello on Instagram and Discord, the links are down in the description. And if you want to grab even more exclusive tutorials, all of my speed paints from start to finish, as well as my custom brush kit for Critter and Photoshop, it is all up on my Patreon. I'll leave a link up here in the cards, and thank you so much for checking it out. And that's about everything I have to say today, so thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. If you're looking for a video on how to stylize photo references and make your own unique art out of it, you will enjoy this video. I'll leave it here in the outro. It's from a little while back, but I promise there's a lot to learn from it. So check that out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!